Forget the healing brand. Meghan's own nanny just exposed her dying father sneaking into the house to hug her kids.
Dad, please, don't leave me again. That desperate plea did not echo in a hospital room. It exploded right in the living room of a Montecito mansion, when Meghan's biological father, Thomas Markle, 81 years old, terminal cancer, collapsed from a heart attack after his own daughter caught him secretly breaking into the house to hug her children. This is the story of a father turned into an intruder in the very home he helped make possible. A daughter who sealed her father away like a media stain. And a husband who chose silence until his father-in-law dropped to the floor right in front of him. If you were Meghan, in that exact moment, would you throw him out of the house or drop to your knees and cry, "Dad," the way she did? The blackout storm, the first time the exiled father stepped into his daughter's house. The interview takes place in a small hotel room in Los Angeles. Harry and Meghan's nanny sits across from the camera, hands fidgeting with the hem of her dress like she still thinks there's a security camera on her at all times. She asks to stay anonymous, but her very first sentence is a slap across the face of that healing family image the world is holding onto so tightly. That night, he wasn't a stranger. He was the only one who could stop those kids from crying, and he was the only person who wasn't allowed to be inside that house. We start from that night. The night the nanny says, "If everything ever blows up one day, I think it starts right there." A stormy night in Montecito, 10 p.m., wind howling through the trees, rain slamming against the glass, the sky black as ink. The whole rich neighborhood goes dark, power out. In 1 second, everyone is thrown back into the flashlight era. Inside Harry and Meghan's mansion, the lights cut off in an instant. Archie's scream breaks the silence from upstairs. "Mommy, I'm scared." Lily starts crying too, her little voice shaking with panic. The nanny remembers. The power went out, the security system flickered, and then went completely dead. I ran to the kitchen to find flashlights, candles. The security guard called and said, "The whole area's out, stay calm." But upstairs there was no staying calm. Those kids are terrified of the dark. Where were Harry and Meghan? On a plane. They were on their way to Africa for a new campaign the press called For the Children. The cruel joke? The same night they flew out to save children. Their own kids were screaming in the dark. The nanny retells it, still a bit out of breath even now. "I was running back and forth the back door. That night I forgot to lock it. I only thought, find the flashlights first. I was wrong." How wrong? You're about to see. 400 meters away, in a small rented apartment, an 81-year-old man is also sitting in the dark. Thomas Markle, terminal cancer, weak heart. The doctor told him, avoid stress. His daughter hasn't spoken to him in 9 years. His grandkids have never properly called him Grandpa. From his window, he looks toward the big house. The whole block is dark, except one small yellow square on the second floor, the kids' room. Thomas grips the arm of his chair, his breath raspy. If we call it by its legal name, this is the moment a very sick old man decides to commit what the law calls unlawful entry. He, on the other hand, calls it the first and probably last time he will ever get to be a grandfather. And the nanny, totally unaware, is downstairs lighting matches in the kitchen. Thomas throws on a raincoat, pulls up the hood, shoves his pillbox into his pocket. His right hand holds his old wooden cane. His left hand touches a photo tape behind the door, little Meghan at 10 years old hugging a doll, smiling like the world hasn't hurt her yet. "You'll hate me more for this," he mutters, "but I can't die out here." At this point, it's no longer just love. It's an obsession. An obsession with the house that kicked him out of his own daughter's life. The same daughter who used to cling to him and cry every night. Outside, the rain hits his face like it's trying to push him back. But he keeps walking. He hugs the edge of the street, dodging the gate camera's blind spots that he's memorized. At his age, just walking to the pharmacy tires him out. But tonight, he walks like he's 30 years younger, pushed forward by one crazy thought. I refuse to die only ever seeing my grandkids through a fence. The nanny doesn't see anything. The security guard doesn't either. The neighborhood cameras, power outage, dead. For one rare night, the entire civilized system goes dark, and an old man is allowed to replace the law with instinct. The back door of Harry and Meghan's house. The nanny just ran out to grab toys from the yard. Thunder cracks, she jumps, rushes back to the kitchen to check on Archie and Lily through the baby monitor. Her hand never touches the lock. The door stays unlocked. This is the detail she repeats 3 times in the interview, still shaking. "If I had locked that door, this whole story would be different." Thomas puts his hand on the doorknob, Half of him wants to turn around. The other half says, if you turn back now, tomorrow, you die alone in that rented box. Click. The door opens. He's dizzy for a moment. This is the world he's only ever seen through TV screens and magazine covers. The world where his daughter talks about healing and family. Inside, everything is pitch black except a weak nightlight upstairs, rain on the windows, thunder somewhere above, and the sound of children crying. Mommy. I'm scared. Thomas stands at the bottom of the stairs, tilts his head back, looks up. His whole life he imagined walking up these steps as a welcome guest. Birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Reality gave him a different role. The man who sneaks in. Lightning flashes, filling the hallway for a second. Archie screams louder. Lily sobs harder. In the kids' room, Archie is under the blanket, completely covered. Lily is clutching her stuffed bunny, eyes wet and red. Thomas stands in the doorway, soaked, rain dripping off his coat. The kids look at him and stop crying for half a second. They recognize the hunched back, the old cane, the hood, the same coat they see at the park. The old man who always falls, who always drops his wallet so they can pick it up for him. Grandpa, Lily whispers. Thomas holds out his hands, palms up. His voice is rough. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here now. There is no, let me call your parents first. There is no, I'm not supposed to be here. There are 3 people, 3 different fears, and one decision that was already made the moment he touched the door. Archie is the first to throw his blanket aside. He jumps off the bed and runs straight into Thomas's arms. Lily follows, grabbing onto his cold, wet coat. The nanny says in the interview, eyes red, when I finally made it upstairs, the kids were already asleep in his arms. I didn't have the heart to wake them up just to throw him out. Thomas sits down on the sofa, both kids curled into him. He can feel their hearts racing, their little breaths still shaky from crying. His own heart is pounding in a dangerous way, the kind his doctor warned him about. Strong emotions could kill you. He still pulls them in closer. Archie mumbles into his chest. Grandpa, I hate thunder. Mommy's scared of thunder too, right? Thomas gives a hoarse laugh. When your mom was little, every time she heard thunder, she'd run straight into my arms. You're just like her. For the first time in his life, Archie hears the words, when your mom was little, not from a speech, not from a podcast, not from a self-help book, but from a quiet, ordinary story, the kind that suddenly makes Meghan's childhood real and small again. Lily looks up and asks the question Meghan has avoided for 9 years. So, you're our grandpa for real? Simple question, but in this house, it lands like a bomb. Thomas swallows and answers softly. Grandpa, no more thunder, but the air in the room gets heavy. The word grandpa hangs there, with nowhere to land, because no one has ever told these kids they even had one. The night ends with no one dead, no alarms, no police. Just 3 people sleeping on one sofa. An old man exiled from his daughter's life, and 2 children who just unknowingly took back a piece of family that had been erased from the official story. But the fact that no one physically dies doesn't mean nothing died that night. That night, the last boundary between standing outside the gate and stepping inside the house disappeared. Once that old man tasted what it felt like to hold his grandkids while they slept, he could never go back to just watching them through a fence. The nanny ends the story of the storm with a line that makes even the host fall silent. If you ask me whether that night he was an intruder or a victim, I'd say both. He broke into his daughter's house. But before that, a whole system had already broken into their father-daughter bond, shredded it, and ordered us all to pretend he never existed. And from here, if we want to understand why an old man has to sneak in the rain into his own daughter's house, we have to go back to the starting point. Why was he pushed out past that gate in the first place? The man hovering at the gate from missing his grandkids to a media stain. Before he got into the house, the nanny says, he was standing outside that gate for a whole year. Not the kind of one-time dramatic visit, the kind of presence that shows up so often that the neighborhood cameras start treating him like part of the landscape. 3 weeks after the doctor told him, it's cancer. You don't have much time. Thomas signed a lease for a small apartment exactly 1 street away from Harry and Meghan's house. On the day he signed, he joked with the realtor. Just give me a place where I can see my grandkids from a distance. Sounds like a soft line from a frail old man. But the address he picked is not soft at all. From his living room window, he has a clear view of the balcony where Archie and Lily sometimes play. From his small balcony, he can see the big gate, the cars coming and going, the nanny pushing the stroller. This is not living nearby to ease the pain. This is a lookout point. The nanny confirms, honestly, everyone in the area knew there was this old man walking around. At first, I thought he was just a neighbor who liked to walk. Later, I found out he was Meghan's father. Cameras recorded it all. 6 a.m., the hunched figure with a cane shuffling past the house. 4 p.m., the same figure again, slowing down at the fence, standing longer than any normal passerby. Thomas is not walking for his health. He's picking spots where he gets the best view of the yard and the kids' windows. Some days, he just stands there for 20 minutes, doing nothing but looking. He has a small notebook in his pocket. He writes, 7 a.m., Nanny takes the kids out. 4 p.m., Archie plays soccer in the yard. Lily draws. 9 p.m., kids' room lights out. If he were a bodyguard, people would praise him as professional. Because he is a band grandfather, people call it stalking. The nanny talks about those accidental meetings she, as the legal adult, saw, but at the time couldn't piece together. He kept dropping things, wallet, paper bag, even his cane, always right when the kids were walking by. Archie has been raised to be polite. When he sees an old man drop his wallet, he rushes over, picks it up with both hands, smiling. Here you go, sir. Thomas bends down, looks the boy straight in the eyes, just a heartbeat longer than normal. Thank you, young man. Same with Lily. She sees him fall to his knees by the park steps, panics and runs over. Are you okay, Grandpa? The nanny hurries over, helps him up, apologizes. He brushes off his pants, gives a gentle smile. I'm fine. With little angels like you around, I don't feel any pain. Feels warm, looks sweet. But let's ask the hard question. A man officially labeled not allowed to approach still carefully sets up situations where his grandkids have to come to him first. Is that love? Or is that a way of slipping around the ban? The nanny lowers her voice. Back then I didn't think that far. I just saw a lonely old man. Looking back now, he was very calculated. Thomas brings cheap toys, picture books, candy. He accidentally leaves them on benches where kids tend to play. He shows up just often enough for the kids to feel familiar, but just low-key enough that Meghan only hears harmless reports like, there's this old man who keeps falling. The kids help him sometimes. That's the man at the gate part. Now for the sealed-off stain part. Because if we don't understand how Thomas was pushed out of Meghan's life, it's easy to fall into lazy extremes. Either making him a pure victim, or branding him a creepy old man clinging to his child. The truth is, uglier than both. Before he was the creepy watcher, Thomas was the only hero in Meghan's childhood. Her mother left, he stayed. He drove her, he paid the tuition, he paid for the wedding. In Meghan's mind, Thomas was the last good one left, until she became famous. After a few seasons, some magazine covers, a few rumors about a prince, the tabloids knocked on Thomas's door. They offered him coffee, then they offered him money. In return, they wanted childhood photos, handwritten letters, things only a father would know. And Thomas said yes. He signed papers. He cooperated with staged paparazzi shots at internet cafes, tailors, supermarkets. He handed over photos. He handed over letters. Every story he told, another check was signed. At retirement age, sick, with a messy financial history, he saw that money as a lifeline. But to Meghan, it was a knife. She watched photos from her childhood, birthdays, school plays, nights crying in her father's arms, and splashed across covers under the caption, exclusive from her own father. She understood. Every memory she thought was her safe place had been turned into merchandise. Selling your child here is not human trafficking. It's selling access, selling intimacy, in exchange for cash. The royal machine chose the easiest solution. Lock Thomas away. Label him a media risk. Cut contact, block letters, block calls, block interviews. Anything from him goes straight to the legal team and dies there. And Thomas sends his medical file. I have cancer. Please let me see my child and my grandkids once before I die. The lawyers receive it. By the time the message reaches Meghan's ears, it's been filtered. He's asking to see you again. Same old story. Asking, claiming his sacrifice. Meghan asks, did he say anything else? The answer? Nothing important. On the other side, Thomas asks a mutual contact. Did Meghan say anything? The answer: she chose to stay silent. Each of them only ever gets the worst version of the other. Neither of them hears the real voice anymore. They only hear the cold, dry sound of the system's filter. Now go back and picture that old man at the gate, taking notes, setting up accidental encounters with his grandkids. Here's the blunt question. Is that a grandfather's love or a twisted obsession with the idea of a stolen family? The fair answer: both. An old man missing his grandkids? That's real. An old man refusing to accept boundaries? That's real, too. And the nanny is stuck in the middle, forced into being the living witness to both uncomfortable truths. I saw him wandering by the gate, and I was also the one who saw him holding those kids on the sofa the first time. Half of me felt sorry. Half of me got chills. From here on, this is no longer just a story of an old man outside the fence. After the storm, he's already inside. The next question is, how did he get back out? And who opened the door for him the second, third time? Archie and Lily's secret, the ghost grandpa covered by children. After the storm, the nanny thinks things will go back to normal. The old man goes home, the kids wake up and forget she locks the door properly next time. End of story. She underestimated the power of a first hug. The next day, the kids were whispering about the man who told stories at night. The nanny says, "They didn't say his name, but I knew." In the corner of the playroom, Archie whispers to Lily, "He said he's our grandpa." Lily's eyes go wide. "But Mommy never said we have a grandpa." "Maybe she forgot," Archie says, with the blind confidence only children have. See the cruelty? The adults cut, erase, rewrite the story. The kids, with a couple of whispers, put the missing piece back in. For the first few days after that night, Thomas doesn't show up. He lies at home, coughing, his heart racing, exhausted, and strangely lightheaded. But once you've stolen something like that moment, it's very hard to stop. The nanny doesn't dodge the blame. She says it straight in the interview. The second time he came into the house, there was no storm, no blackout. It was my carelessness. Or maybe some part of me wanted to let him in. Harry and Meghan are both out all day. Their schedules are almost always public. Events, meetings, filming, interviews. Strangers know where they are. Of course, Thomas does. He's 81, but he spends his days by the window with his phone in hand. He picks the perfect time, late afternoon. The nanny is in the kitchen making dinner. The security guard is at the front gate helping with the delivery. Archie and Lily are in the playroom, door open. The back door, as always, is the weakest point. This time Thomas walks in calm. No rain, no thunder, no blackout. Just the ticking clock and the smell of food from the kitchen. He goes straight upstairs and taps lightly on the doorframe. Archie turns. His eyes light up. "Grandpa!" Lily jumps off the mat, giggling. No tears, no fear. Just the simple joy that the man who comforted them in the storm has come back. Downstairs, the nanny hears a different kind of laughter. "Right then I knew," she says. The laughter was different, like there was a third person in the house. Thomas is sitting on the floor, back straight, legs stretched out. Archie on one side, Lily on the other. All three are drawing on a big sheet of paper. "This is your mom when she was little," he says, pointing to a messy curly-haired stick figure. "Back then she liked dolls just like Lily does." Lily grabs a red crayon and draws a huge bow on little mom's head. Archie adds a table, and under it, a small figure hiding. "This is Mom hiding from thunder." The three of them burst into giggles. From that second visit on, Ghost Grandpa becomes a shared secret between Archie, Lily, and the nanny. Thomas tells the kids, "This is our secret. If the grown-ups find out, they won't let me see you anymore." These kids grow up under cameras with bodyguards and schedules. They have no real secrets. The first time they get something that's just for us three, they're thrilled. The nanny admits, "That's when I got chills." A grown man using exactly what the kids are missing, secrets freedom, as a way to hook into their lives. And at the same time, she's the one bringing up cookies, pouring the juice for that old man. We don't have to absolve the nanny, but let's not pretend we'd all act differently if we were standing there watching a grandfather tell stories to his grandkids. And first was Tamria, and physical clues start showing up all over the house, like little news flashes Meghan never manages to connect. An old scratched doll sitting on Lily's shelf, a cheap plastic bracelet on Archie's wrist that Harry definitely didn't buy, a worn children's book with Meghan scribbled in child handwriting on the first page. Meghan asked, Where did all this come from? The nanny recalls. Archie lied. I don't know. Lily whispered, maybe Santa. Meghan laughs it off, but the nanny can see her face tighten for a second. She left all her old stuff at Thomas's house, the nanny says. If she'd let herself connect the dots, she would have known instantly. But she doesn't allow herself to think of her father. No, Meghan is not stupid. She's willingly blind to any sign that has Thomas attached to it. Because once she opens her eyes, the whole I have healed story she sells to the world starts to crack. The first time Harry picks up the signal again, it's through a screen. One night, he's at a hotel after filming Missing the Kids. He opens the home app to check the cameras. He taps on the kids' room feed. The image pops up, a hunched old man on the sofa. Archie asleep with his head on the man's lap. Lily curled up against his side. You can't see the man's face clearly, but his posture. The way he rubs their backs, the way he bends down to kiss their foreheads. Too familiar. Harry sits up straight. The nanny doesn't sit like that. The guard definitely doesn't. There's only one man who does. I heard he raced home right away, the nanny says. By the time he got there, the old man was gone. The kids were asleep in their beds like nothing happened. Harry walks the whole house, checks every lock, every window. The camera has no footage of the man leaving. The same blind spot the storm had already taught Thomas to use. From that moment, a new figure lives in the house, the secret grandpa, known only to the kids, the nanny. And now, Harry. To Archie and Lily, Thomas is the only grown-up who doesn't make them sit up straight, doesn't force them to smile at cameras, doesn't drill into them. Your parents are very busy saving the world. He just says, your parents work very hard. Not everyone is brave enough to do what they do. You have to be good so they worry less. Thomas never badmouths Harry or Meghan in front of the kids. That's the decent part of him. The nanny nods. He always lifted their parents up. He called Harry a hero, Meghan a fighter. He didn't want them to hate their parents. He just didn't want them to forget him. But no matter how soft his tone is, he is still there in secret, still stepping over the line his daughter drew. Here's the uncomfortable question. A grandfather who is the only source of warmth besides mom and dad, and at the same time, the man who's breaking the security of their home. What do you even call that? There's no easy label. But one thing is clear. From the moment this secret exists, that house, built on rules, cameras, protocols, has a hole in it. And that hole isn't in the tech. It's in the hearts of the people who keep pretending they don't know. The nanny sums it up with a slap of a sentence. Don't think other people's drama is just something you watch on Netflix. I've seen Archie and Lily stand in front of their mom crying, yelling, "Don't yell at Grandpa, he didn't do anything wrong." But his biggest mistake? It was teaching those kids that Grandpa is family, when in their mother's mind, he's as dangerous as any stranger. And the only person who could truly end this, Harry, is still choosing silence. Harry discovers the truth and chooses silent complicity. When he looked at me and asked, "Did anyone come into the house while I was gone?" I lied, the nanny says. But it's not like he was honest with me either. That whole house, every night is a performance. Things don't explode right after the storm. This house is dangerous not because of big lightning strikes, but because of small cracks that keep showing up, and everyone pretends they don't see. The first person with enough puzzle pieces to see the full picture is Harry. It starts with a toy. One night, while Meghan is busy on a Zoom meeting, Harry opens the camera system on his iPad. He rewinds through the past week, frame by frame. He notices odd gaps. The hallway camera on the ground floor loses signal for 3 minutes. The backdoor camera is glitchy for 4 minutes. The kids' room camera errors out for a few dozen seconds. Right after those gaps, the next day, something from Meghan's childhood appears in the house. A purple plastic bracelet. A comic book signed, "To Meg, Love, Dad." Harry is not stupid. He has lived under cameras his whole life. He reads camera language faster than he reads his wife's mood. One, free, cool. A few days later, he comes home earlier than planned. He doesn't tell anyone. The moment he turns into the driveway, he sees an old man standing about 30 feet away, leaning on his cane, staring up at the kid's window. No raincoat, no disguise. Daylight does him no favors. Harry sees the same old face he's seen on tabloids, legal documents, and shredded letters Meghan threw away, then dug back out. Thomas Markle. Two men lock eyes for 1 second. No one says hello. There is no father-in-law, son-in-law handshake. Thomas looks away first, pretending to stare somewhere else like a lost old neighbor. Harry parks, heart pounding. The nanny remembers? That night, he went up to the kids' room and looked at every object, didn't say a word. Then he came down and asked me, "Did anyone come into the house while I was gone?" I lied. "No one, sir." He looked at me for a long time, like he knew I was lying, but he didn't want to hear the truth yet. The moment Harry goes from suspicious to sure comes a few days later. One evening, he's in his home office downstairs, working late. The nanny takes the kids up to get ready for bed. Meghan is on Zoom with her media team. The kids' light goes off. 20 minutes later, Harry hears giggles from upstairs. Not the cartoon-watching kind, the kind you hear when there's an adult playing with them. He gets up and walks up the stairs. The door is slightly open. He pushes it gently. Inside, it's dim. Just the nightlight. The bed is empty. Window shut. No one there. "Archie? Lily?" he calls softly. No answer. He circles the room, opens the toy chest, checks under the bed. Finally, he opens the closet. The usual hiding place for their little games. No toys, no suitcases, just one old man pressed into the corner, trying to make himself as small as possible. Thomas. Two pairs of eyes meet in the dark. "I wasn't there," the nanny says. "But Harry told all of this to his therapist. I was the one driving him to therapy, so I heard it all." 3 seconds of silence. What do you expect? A shout. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" A call to the police? A security alarm? No. Harry takes a deep breath, his hand still on the doorknob. He can slam everything shut, or he can throw it open. He chooses to shut it. The closet door closes, quietly. Harry walks away, pulls the bedroom door almost shut like nothing happened. Thomas stays in the dark, heart racing, hand clutching his chest, sweat running down his face. But he understands. His son-in-law has just done something bigger than covering for him. Harry has chosen complicity. In the interview, the host asks the nanny, "Do you think Harry is a coward?" She gives a bitter little laugh. "I think he's weak. A lot weaker than the image he sells. He's standing between his wife and his father-in-law, between duty and pity. He steps back and lets everyone else fight it out. He doesn't throw a single punch, but sometimes not throwing a punch is exactly the sin." Harry's silence. Is it love or cowardice? Probably both. But one thing is certain. That silence cleared the way for Thomas to take a few more steps into the center of the house, until he was no longer a ghost in the shadows, but the main character. Meghan comes home early, the living room explosion. That day, when the gate camera pinged that she just walked in, my heart dropped, the nanny says, because inside the house, he was the one laughing the loudest. Meghan finishes her work trip earlier than planned. Her official schedule says, back in Montecito 10 p.m. But she changes flights. She comes home at 8 p.m. instead. She doesn't tell Harry. She doesn't tell the nanny. She wants to surprise the kids. Do you see the nasty irony? The wife planning a cute little surprise for her children, and instead walking straight into the worst scene of her life. The gate camera sends a notification to the nanny's phone. Movement detected. She checks. On the screen, Meghan is pulling her suitcase into the driveway, hair tied back, face tired but smiling softly. I panicked. I looked around the house, the nanny says. On the sofa, Thomas is sitting with his legs crossed, laughing out loud at something Archie just said. Lily is climbing on his back, giggling as she pulls his hair. Harry's golf club lies abandoned on the rug. Balloons bump against the ceiling. The living room looks like a storm just passed, a happy one. The nanny hesitates for exactly 2 seconds. Run to the gate and block Meghan? Absurd. Run into the living room and throw an 81-year-old man out? Even more absurd. The front door opens. Meghan walks in. The first sound she hears is not Mommy. It's a man's deep, raspy laugh, a voice very familiar in her memories, very distant in her real life. Meghan freezes in the hallway, fingers tightening around her bag handle. Her everyday brain says, "Harry, left the TV on." Her childhood brain screams, "No, that's him." She walks faster and turns into the living room. The nanny, talking slowly now, remembers, "I was standing behind her. So I saw it all at the same time she did. He was sitting there, the exact chair Harry usually sits in. Archie perched on the armrest, hand on his shoulder. Lily hugging him from behind. There was an open champagne bottle on the table. The TV was playing a show about Meghan herself. All three turn their heads. Archie beams. "Mommy, you're home!" Lily squeals. "Look, Mommy, Grandpa's here!" Meghan does not smile. Around her, the cozy family moment social media loves to eat up suddenly looks like a poster someone ripped down the middle. And in the center of the picture, the man she cut out of her life is sitting right there, in the middle of her living room. Comfortable, relaxed, as if he'd never been removed from the frame. Ha! Ha! The first words out of Meghan's mouth come like a reflex, pure self-defense. "Who gave you permission to come into my house?" She doesn't say, "our house." She says, "my house." In her head, this house is the last fortress she controls, after being torn apart by the royals, the press, and her own family. Thomas stands up, swaying a little as the reality hits him in the face. Archie panics. "Don't yell at Grandpa, Mommy!" Lily clings to his sleeve. "He didn't do anything wrong!" The nanny stands frozen in the doorway, almost hearing the walls crack. "What the hell are you doing with my children?" Meghan almost screams. Thomas opens his mouth, voice shaking. "Sweetheart, just calm down. Don't call me sweetheart," she snaps, eyes burning. "You don't get to call me that after what you did." Every old wound, the staged photos, the leaked letters, headlines with his name, all surface at once. Archie cries harder. "Mommy, stop!" Lily wraps herself around Thomas and yells, "He's sick, don't yell at him!" Harry runs in from the office, hair a mess, shirt half buttoned. "What's going on?" he asks. The question dies the second he sees them. His wife, his father-in-law, his kids, all in one frame. There is no time left to pretend. Meghan turns on Harry, her eyes sharp as knives. "You knew, didn't you?" She's not asking, "Did you know he was here?" She's asking, "How long have you been betraying me with my own father in my own house?" Harry starts. "I was going to tell you, I just dash. The nanny describes the rest. She screamed. "You let him sneak into our house. You let him hold my children while I have to ask the whole world for permission just to hug my own kids on camera." Harry tried to defend himself very weakly. "I saw the kids happy. I thought he wouldn't." Meghan laughed, that bitter laugh. "You thought? You're always thinking for me. Do you ever actually ask me?" Thomas cuts in, voice breaking. "You think I want what? Money?" Meghan whips around, eyes blazing. "You took money for every letter I ever wrote you. You sold my wedding day to the press. You made me pay for your deals with the tabloids for years. And now, you sit here in my living room like nothing happened? No press cameras, no PR script, no healing, understanding, taking accountability for my part. Just two people finally throwing into each other's faces everything they tried to swallow." Archie tugs on Meghan's sleeve. "Mommy, he said he's sick. He's dying. He just wants to see us." That one line cuts deeper than anything. Thomas doesn't deny it. "I am sick. I sent you my medical files. You stayed quiet. I had to find my own way to my grandkids." The nanny, now speaking softer, finishes the scene. He pulled both kids into his arms like someone about to be dragged off the chair. He said, "I'm sorry I made your mom cry, but I'm not sorry I held you." Then he bent down and kissed them. I was standing there, and I just knew something was wrong. His face went pale, his hand dug into Lily's shoulder. Thomas takes a step toward the door, one hand gripping Archie's, the other arm wrapped around Lily. At step 3, he stops. His chest clamps down. The room starts to blur. He grabs his chest, his face twisting, eyes wide, and he drops, right in the middle of the living room. Archie was screaming. Lily was shrieking. Meghan dropped to her knees, hands shaking as she tried to lift his head, crying uncontrollably. Harry rolls Thomas onto his back, checking for breath, for a pulse. The man who learned first aid in the army stammers into the phone, calling 911 while pressing his father-in-law's chest. Dad! Did you notice? This is the first time in the whole story someone calls Thomas Dad without flinching." Meghan cups his face, tears falling onto his shirt. "Dad, please, don't leave me again." The nanny goes quiet for a moment, then says softly, "When I heard her say that, I stopped seeing a royal duchess or a media victim or a healing warrior. All I saw was a daughter realizing that if he died right there, the last thing she had said to him was, "Who gave you permission to come into my house?" And she knew she couldn't live with that. The ambulance siren rips through the polished quiet of the rich neighborhood. Neighbors peek out, whispering, "Must be another Harry Meghan drama." They have no idea this one isn't for the cameras. No Netflix director, no subtitles. This is real. No retakes. On the stretcher, the 81-year-old gasps oxygen, heart racing, eyes half open but still searching for two small faces. Archie tries to run after him. Harry holds him back. Lily is screaming, her little hand still imprinted from clutching his sleeve. Meghan stands frozen at the door, not knowing whether to chase the ambulance or stay with the kids. For a few seconds, she finally feels what it's like to be torn in two. The feeling she has been projecting onto Thomas for years, now slammed back into her own chest. Does the interview end there? No. The host asks the question everyone wants to ask. So, did he die? The nanny looks straight into the camera and answers. He already died once, the day his daughter cut him off. He died again when he had to sneak into her house in the dark. So, what do you think? In this story, is Thomas a sick, dangerous intruder, a father pushed to the edge by a system, or both? And if you were Meghan, what would you do in that moment? Standing in your own living room, seeing your father holding your children? Tell me in the comments.